Kia ora and welcome everybody. Ko Michelle Gallagher, Tupu Ingoa. I'm the program coordinator here at the Centre for Social Impact, and we're just going to kick off with a little bit of housekeeping first up. These webinars are provided free to community through the support of Foundation North, and they are interested to see how many of their grantees are coming along. So you might have just spotted a little bit of a poll pop up. If you'd be happy to take that, that would be fabulous. Thanks everyone, I can see all your votes. Awesome. Let's leave it up another second. Oh, you're coming in quick. Love it. Thanks, everybody. And so now I'd love to hand over to Emeline to open us with a karakia and introduce our amazing session today. Kia ora.
Malo Michelle, kia ora, talofalava, malo lele, and warm Pacific greetings. Thank you for being here with us. I will open our session with a lotu. Let us pray. O toa mafi o mawhawhetai he tāpake o mo'ui po whakoloa ki mauto. Whamalo atu he o mai ha ahu whaofa ke whakahoko e whatongia o e ahoni. Ko tauhi e wā e Foundation North, Centre for Social Impact, Fibre Fale, mo ki nau tau kotoa o kaumai I he ope. Whai tāpu I kina ki mautolo ke maumau ha tala noa lei mo whakamahawhana pe ke uhinga maari e whoki. O maugolene hua whawasiso kalais ko mauwha mo'ui e meni. Tapu ke awhia e o toa I o tau lotonga, tapu ke whanua eiki o tau lo nukuai, tapu ke tangata I whanua o Aotearoa Nusila, tapu ke teki mo tolu kotoa. Ko kingoa ko Emeline Unga, ko tongao. Firstly, I acknowledge the presence of God in our midst. Secondly, I acknowledge the sacred land of Aotearoa and Tamaki Makaurau that we're gathered upon. Thirdly, I acknowledge tangata whenua as the indigenous people of Aotearoa, New Zealand. And lastly, I would like to acknowledge and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us in VA, a living and sacred relation space today. My name is Emeline Unga and I'm Tongan. I have been an associate for the Centre for Social Impact for over a year now, working alongside Rachael Trotman to do research and evaluation work. This is also the time I was introduced to the wonderful team of Fibre Fale. But before this, I've been a primary school teacher for 15 years, learning alongside Māori and Pacific communities. And evaluation is a natural part of being a teacher's life. I've also been privileged to serve Pacific community at a grassroots level on issues that are important to them. And that passion led me to my current study on Pacific worldviews. So I am currently a doctoral student at the University of Auckland, looking at Pacific concepts such as talanoa, va, and kakala to name a few. And I'm passing it on to Eti.
Ma'alole soifua mamalang mama. Thank you so much, Sister Emily. My name is Nuali'i Eteroa Tusipepa Lafaele. I hail from the beautiful islands of Samoa, but born and bred in the place of champions, Cannons Creek, Porirua. 502 for all day, every day is the motto in the valley. And just last week, I got the keys to the city as well. Let's go! Yes! My day job, too many jobs, but amazingness it all together. But overall, I'm the co-founder and director at Fibre Fale with my beautiful sister Julia. And I love the work that we do. Ditch the 9 to 5 to do something we're very passionate about and very excited to dig more deeper into this talanoa whawhetai.
Beautiful, sis. Yes, we ditched the 9 to 5 to work 24/7. Slightly ironic. Well, talofa lava, everybody. My name is Julia Arnot-Neenee. My father hails from the beautiful villages of Lalumano and Lafaele over in Samoa. My mum hails, who's on the call today, Jane Arnott. Her family is from Lincolnshire over in England, and also my great-grandparents were from Shanghai in China as well. So I'm Samoan, British, and Chinese. I'm really excited to be here. I'm really nervous. I think it's an incredible moment to be sharing all of the depth behind Fibre Fale that a lot of people don't really see when they see all of this beautiful color and excitement and joy. They might not realize how much the levels of work that were put into the foundations of Fibre Fale. My career journey started out as a strategic planner. and an insights manager. I used to work in the advertising industry, and then I moved into healthcare, and then I moved into technology. I worked in New Zealand, Australia, United Kingdom and Ireland, the USA, and I did spend a little bit of time in Africa and Ghana working at an entrepreneurs and training school. I made my way back to Aotearoa, New Zealand in 2020, and I was about 27 years old, so just before COVID lockdown. And the big pull for me to shift out of a high-flying global career was really the pull to come home and serve and bring all of those skills and learning and experiences to serve the community and to serve Aotearoa New Zealand as well. I hold a range of board director roles. I've sat on the Digital Council for Aotearoa, the World Economic Forum, Global Futures Council, Miramore Foundation. I'm on the board of University of Auckland and advising Callaghan Innovation as well. My day job, as we mentioned, 24/7 is as CEO and co-founder of Fibre Fale. And yeah, again, I'm so honored, I'm so excited, and please go gentle on us too, because this is our first time doing this. So I'm really, really grateful for you all to be here. Rachael, over to you.
Thanks, Julia. And kia ora koutou, talofa lava, malolele, kia ora ana. Greetings, everyone. I'm Rachael Trotman, and I'm from Tamaki Makaurau. I've got 2 teenage girls whose dad is Cook Island. And I've been with the Centre for Social Impact for 9 years now. And Centre for Social Impact was set up about 10 years ago to support amazing organisations like Fibre Fale to do their thing and to fly. And Emeline and I have had the joy of working with Fibre Fale since May last year. And we've had many talanoa over that time. We've developed a progress report, an impact report, and we've supported the development of this model that we're going to share with you today. I just want to mihi to the courage and the generosity of Fibre Fale to put themselves out there and share this amazing work that they've been doing. It's very personal work and it's coming from the heart. So just want to honour that. And back to you, Julia.
Yeah, thank you, Rachael. It is really, really big heart work, and we wanted to share a little bit of the journey that we've been on. As somebody that's come from the insights profession, I was a qualitative researcher. I knew the value and I knew the importance of drawing insights out of what is actually happening, both for ourselves internally, but also externally and what's happening in the community. I knew that in order to really be able to define our levels of success, it is not defined by the numbers that attend an event. It's not defined by purely the views that happen on TikTok. It's not defined solely on some of that really surface level or baseline level numbers that you see. But really is defined by what's happening inside of people, inside of our community, and how also are we emerging and evolving as well as we're doing this work. And so we started out with that mindset that we didn't want an off-the-shelf approach to evaluation. We didn't want something that was just going to give us social return on investment measures, but wasn't able to give us deep hearts and minds and personal stories of people. We knew that we wanted to try and blend the approach with deeply being Pacifica-centered, as well as being able to meet a lot of funder requirements when they're asking us about systems change. And as you know, a lot of organizations are using language like systems change, and how are you influencing the system? How are you thinking about the waterfall, the levers, and all of this language? And we knew that every funder has different language in which they use to measure our impact. And so we wanted to actually flip that. Rather than us constantly bending ourselves to each different funder, we wanted to be able to have a foundation of this is how we evaluate ourselves. This is our own ancestral intelligence that we believe is good enough, is wise enough, we are enough. And if you want to support us and want to understand us, this is deeply the way in which to do so, and to honor the exchange and see us as equals in this journey. And it was quite a hard journey to go on. We met with around 5 different evaluation organizations. I did a full SWOT analysis of all of them. They obviously haven't seen that report. And really was trying to weigh up who was able to take designing evaluation from the ground up, not taking an existing framework that they've done for other organizations and just slapping it on top of us. I really wanted to be brave enough to do something different. And I think that's really at the core of everything that Fibre Fale does. So we met up with at least 5 different organizations. Didn't go as quite what we were hoping for. We then were referred to by Foundation North into CSI and started the journey with Rachael and Emeline, who I'll let them speak for themselves around what it was like to meet us. Because I know it's definitely been a journey for us to find and build and invest in the VAR between us and the values alignment between us. Because the key insight out of all of this is, even if we had tried to go into this with the same intention of building a Pacifica-centered evaluation approach from the ground up, we would have not have landed where we landed today without the relational space and the collective space that we built between each other as evaluatees and evaluators. And I think that's the reason why we wanted to give this slide, is I didn't want to set anyone up for unrealistic expectations that every evaluator is going to be able to meet your goals and aspirations. We were very, very lucky with the people that we've been able to embark on this journey with, and the space that we've actually really invested in and created together. So over to you, Rach.
Thanks, Julia. Yeah, it took a bit of time, didn't it, for us to suss each other out and to build the trust, the VAR between us, because quite rightly, evaluators can be guilty of being quite structured and wanting to have lay frameworks on people, but really the approach was to listen, and really good evaluation draws out the knowledge and the approach that the people doing the work want to take. So that was our approach. What we noticed with Fibre Fale was, we had to run to keep up. You can see that they're superstars, and instead of walking alongside, we were definitely running alongside. And they'd also done a huge amount of work on their Hibiscus model and the way that they wanted to evaluate and learn. They'd done a lot of work on their strategy. And like a lot of organisations, the strategy was quite high level and broad. And this process has helped refine that. They also were incredibly good, and this is unusual, at documenting their work. So they had great data on what they were doing with who, how, and when. The support we could provide was, so what change is that making? And also get to the deep learning that they've been doing so much of, and to support the development of this ongoing way to evaluate and learn, which we're going to share with you. Emeline, Ete?
Thanks, Rach. Yeah, I just wanted to add to that being a Pacific person coming into evaluation work at a larger scale was quite new for me. But I also had immense respect and amazement at the groundwork that Fibre Fale had already laid out as a young organization with a small staff. For me, that was amazing. And it also, their passion and their confidence in what they want to achieve was clear. And for me to reciprocate that, being part of this team, I have to pull up to that level by reciprocating and going a little bit over and above their expectations to build that VAR. Because like Rachel said, we had to prove ourselves in order for them to trust us that we can work together. And VAR is nurtured over time. It takes work, and that is an important part of this relationship with Fibre Fale. I also wanted to add on that my relation with Rachael is a mentor, because I came in, I'm Pacific, Rachael is not Pacific, but is passionate about Pacific issues. And me learning alongside her was helpful, but also she brought her strength as an expert in evaluation work, and I bring my strength from a cultural perspective. And I think we just blend so well with contributing to Fibre Fale. Thank you.
Out of my last 50 cents systematic discussion, yes. I think the biggest thing that I learned from this whole journey was just the value exchange between all of us. And it was key due to the level of expertise that we had, but also Rachael and Emeline had. And it was also a demonstration that that was putting that VAR into action and building onto that relationship to understand what we wanted, not only for our Pasifika communities to know about impact, but how we can showcase a new version of what that is meant to be. So, whaftai tere lava fam, please. Alrighty, now because I finished, I'm gonna start us off on the nitty gritty. Put your seatbelts on, we're on for a very big ride. As Sister said, we met up with the beautiful Naomi Manu, and we sat in this room, and she really pushed our thinking to really dig deep. And I remember sitting there in the room as someone that is not as experienced in this realm of evaluation to really think and dig deep. Because we looked for so long for something that could actually portray impact, we needed to look within. So while looking within, I had an aha moment. For those that don't know, you can get aha moments in evaluation. I sure had a big one. And this big one was where I sat there after Naomi just picking in my brain, going, Eteroa, dig deep. And while searching the many depths of my amazingness and ancestral knowledge, it birthed, well, not birthed, but it exercised ancestral knowledge, which came from the proverb, which is e so'o le whau I le whau. And this proverb translates about how one hibiscus root and another creates a strong bond, and that leads to unity and strength. And another reason why it came into mind was in November 2020, Fibre Fale, we launched Fibre Fale. And when I was on my Instagram, yes, that's right, the best way I could sum up that amazing experience of launching it, but also the work that we had started, was through e so'o le whau I le whau. And I think that itself catapulted this amazing model, but also reminded us about how all of us, even in this call, bring different elements, but how do we measure that? Well, you'll find out today as we dig more deeper into this talanoa. Bless. Over to you, Emeline.
Okay, thank you. So I am going to talk a little bit about the background of the whau and e so'o le whau I le whau to give you a little bit more of an understanding of the depth of Fibre Fale's Hibiscus Impact Model. So grounding Fibre Fale's work on a strong Pacific foundation was very important to them, and we could tell them from the get-go when we met them, because they already, like Eteroa mentioned, they already did a few of the brainstorming and the groundwork. So our job was to come and try to help make them into something concrete that they can see to tell their impact story. So from a Pacific perspective, using a cultural proverb grounded the work in the whenua that is the Pacific. So it drew from Pacific worldview, but also from Pacific knowledge. It nourishes the work of Fibre Fale to grow and also open up the many potentials that there could be. E so'o le whau elevates ancestral knowledge. So the whau is also known in the Pacific as a hibiscus plant. The whau describes the plant, but also the many fibers of the whau. And it has many uses. It can be used in traditional fale building, house building, fishing nets, dance costumes, also used for ceremonial events like the awa or the kava ceremony. And it's also used for weaving. So there are many uses of the whau, and bringing it in for Fibre Fale to tell their impact story opens up what are the different possibilities that joining these fibers together can create. And there are various interpretations of e so'o le whau I le whau, but Fibre Fale, after many discussions, they wanted to focus on the quality of the joining. So two fibers coming together, these two fibers, one is Fibre Fale, the other one is Pacific communities or Pacific people in Te, coming together. These two fibers already have strength of their own. They are strong, they have got cultural capital, they have knowledge of the tech industry already. When they join, their joining part is what Pacific is what Fibre Fale wants to focus on. So our role as CSI is to try to make that become more real and also practical. There are various types of joining. Similar to the various uses of the file, there are various ways of joining fibers, and that's important in its own, because how you join also creates a different product of file. So it was important to be intentional in how do they join and what outcome are they going to tell from their joining. So continuing on, how did we come about the process of trying to dig deep into this metaphor of iso o le fau? I started by, as a Tongan in the group, I started by looking within the Tongan culture for what does the proverb mean in a Tongan setting, because in Tonga, we also have a similar proverb. And from that understanding, I also seek out the knowledge and consult with other Samoans who have strong knowledge of the language and of the cultural perspective to get what is their view. These different perspectives were brought together, and that helps to guide the formation of Fibre Fale, of the Hibiscus Impact Model. So the pictures you see is part of exploring deeply the different way of joining. So on the left-hand side is an example of two fibers of file. Individually, they are strong. So Fibre Fale coming in, they are strong already on their own. They have strengths that they bring to the table. The other fiber represent Pacific intake. When they come to join, before the joining, they are already seen as a whole, as a strong whole person that they can contribute. So the joining, when they join, it strengthens that bond, and that bond is unbreakable. And it becomes, we will talk a little bit about how it translates to the outcomes of Fibre Fale. In the middle picture, the different ways of joining. So there is twisting. You can twist the file together. You can braid them, and you can also weave them. As you can see, the different ways of joining also creates different outcomes. So that is the beauty of eso o le fau, and other Indigenous metaphors, is it opens up the potential for many ways to see or to interpret, say, for example, as a way to evaluate impact. I think that is it for me.
Bless you. So this is the Hibiscus Impact Model. This model is how it comes to life. So everything that Sister Emeline said, we're now going to go into the nitty-gritty and actually show you what it is. So the Hibiscus model, let's start off with the proverb, e so'o le fau I le fau, joining fiber to fiber, forming an unbreakable bond. Let's think of the first fau. The first fau is Fibre Fale. And you can see in this image, Fibre Fale, we have that strategy model where we deliver, do, and advocate, tell. The second file you see in this image here is the Pasifika individual communities. And when we bring it together, when the files are united together, it then creates the outcome. And that outcome is the overall impact for our people and systems. Now, just to mention before we go further into this, joining the file must require trust, whaloalo, honouring the va and the space, and the shared commitment in building this with tautua, and justice as a foundation. The reason why is because this joining really shows not just the bond, but the quality of the bond, and also what we have in our outcomes. This bond also demonstrates not just the individual, but their families, the community, and also the system. So when we're finding people, or when people interact with us, Fibre Fale, we're bringing them in, we're strengthening not only themselves, but their families and also their community. Next slide, please. Now, we have to mention here, a lot of evaluations say, we start here. We are the beginning of this approach. The hibiscus model doesn't start with us. It started many, many years ago. It started with our ancestors. Our ancestors is the start of the bond. We're weaving ourselves with our ancestral knowledge and our ancestral mana to really bring them into what we're doing here, which is not only for our past, but for our future generations coming together. So as you can see, the hibiscus model has an intergenerational approach where you can see in the image, it has 1, our ancestral intelligence, 2, our Pacific transformative leaders, and 3, our Pasifika community and Fibre Fale. And with that all together, weaves the past, present, and future. Next slide, please. Now you're all wondering, okay, so what's the outcome? Let's dig deeper into this. The more people that are woven with Fibre Fale and each other, the higher the quality of that bond and more it contributes overall into our impact goal. So there are 5 outcomes that come with this bond. And they are 1, they are felt seen and heard. Number 2, they feel true belonging, identity, and safety in the community. 3, they grow their skills, confidence, and leadership and entrepreneurship aspirations. 4, they experience a shift in their mindset and self-determination in their journeys in tech. And last and not least, they show up boldly, be the change they seek in their communities, and mobilize not backwards, not sideways, but upwards into tech. Over time, this leads to this bond that we talk about. And with this bond, it really amplifies, like we said earlier, the overall impact. And that impact is a movement of our Pasifika transformative leaders in tech, creating this intergenerational change, not just influencing this main system, but little did you know, we're actually influencing and emerging a new Pasifika tech system. And that itself is the outcomes for the hibiscus model. Whaftai.
So it's all very well to have a model, but how do you practically apply it? So this is one of the ways. So here we have, it's just a way to understand progress that Fibre Fale is supporting towards those outcomes and towards that overall impact. So we've taken the file and developed this sort of rubric or rating kind of progress tool to say, how are we going on each of those outcomes? And there's evidence sources sitting underneath those, and we share those in the impact report. Yeah, so this is a key way that Fibre Fale can kind of track how it's going against particular outcomes. There's also a wide range of data sources that they use, and they are shared in the impact report as well.
Beautiful, Rach. We're going to move into just touching into systems change. It's all well and good that we have our hibiscus impact model, and it's really grounded, as you've all heard, in that deep Pasifika ancestral knowledge. And it is our way to communicate outwardly, not only to the community, but and to funders. Yes, Georgie, our amazing. These are some of, all these images are our own. They're all from our Pasifika Tautai Tech Leadership Camp. So these are all of our own community and future, current and future leaders. And we also needed to be able to speak to systems change, because we know that's a critical part of when we're thinking about how do you create impact, is how do you influence the system? How do you shift the conditions of how the system is? And one of the key things that we came into with Fibre Fale, and it's from some work that I had done with Next Foundation. I was on a fellowship with Next Foundation and some peers that had helped be part of my learning journey around systems changes. You cannot understand a system unless you change it. You cannot change a system unless you transform consciousness. You cannot transform consciousness unless you make a system see and sense itself. And that's all about awareness-based systems change. And what that really means for us is systems change is not just looking externally. Systems change is shifting the system within yourself. And if we started to focus less about going into some of these tech companies and teaching them about diversity, equity, and inclusion, we didn't look outwardly in that direction, but we actually looked inwardly into ourselves and into our own community, into our own people, and we transformed the system that was occurring within them, that would have a compounding impact over time in terms of how they are showing up into their jobs, into their families, into their own leadership journeys. That is the system changing itself. So instead of looking externally, and honestly, some of that work can be incredibly draining. It's a lot of trauma-informed work to get everybody to care about you, that we actually went and we started to think about how do we evolve within ourselves and how do we actually shift the conditions within our own people. And it's really about these two intertwined journeys. There's the human journey to go on, the micro journey, and that's the micro in terms of the individuals, shifting the framing of problems, the mindsets that we hold, the mental models, the deepest condition, the deepest level of systems change, the practice shift. And then there is that macro level, the new paradigm of what society needs to go on to deeply care about wanting to see change within the tech world, within the wider world. And for us as a team of 3 people, we knew that we are not going to get every tech company to donate every single laptop to every single person. We can't necessarily get the attention of government to start to think about these things. But where do we have a circle of influence and a circle of control? And that's within ourselves and within a localized approach to our community and to our people. And there was this really powerful quote that has stood with us this whole time. And it's by Louise Mara, and it was shared to us through Shruti, one of our coaches and advisors. Be the system healing. As I heal, the system heals. And so it's taking that next step further that, yes, you cannot be what you cannot see. And beyond that, if we keep asking our people to just show up and to operate and just be on panels and be on all these places and spaces, but they're not well within themselves, or their shift and what's happening inside of them isn't tended to, then we really need to rethink, what are we doing? And so we were really looking at, well, what does deep engagement look like? Because that can have compounding impact over time. It's lower numbers, and we know we need to have conversations with our funders to say we're going from quite awareness-based work into deep behavioral work. But it also is what we believe, again, from a theory of change point of view, that this creates the system change that we want to see. And it's aligned to the way in which we want to show up and the way in we want to participate as a Pacifica organization, as an actor within the system. Over to you, Rach.
Thanks, Julia. Yeah, so it's depth work, it's deep work rather than the breadth. And I know that a lot of funders and other people want to see big numbers, they want to see breadth, but actually the real transformative change happens at the depth. I feel like with the Hibiscus model, the next iteration is going to be around the systems work. But at the moment, we use the 6 conditions of systems change lens to look at what influence is Fibre Fale making around systems. But as Julia said, not just external systems, but themselves as a system. So applying the 6 conditions to yourself as an organization, as a team, is super powerful. So, you know, something that evaluation often misses is that it's people who make change, and it's the relationships and dynamics among people that is the real driver of change. Most evaluation never gets to that. Doesn't, you know, it's looking externally, it's looking for measures or, you know, but this is saying, how are we going as a system, and how is that affecting our influence on other systems? So this is just showing you using that same Hibiscus sort of rating tool in the early stage of Fibre Fale, how they're going themselves as a system and externally.
Beautiful. And I think it's important to note here, this is when we've found this blend and this bridge of a Western approach that existed before us and that is common knowledge, and then our own model and our own ancestral knowledge that we have then found a way to create this bridging conversation. And we know that because we're operating within philanthropy, within community systems, that we have to find the translator to explain ourselves back into where people are coming from. And so again, this is where you've got the 6, we knew we couldn't just ignore the 6 conditions of systems changes. That wasn't going to work for us for our journey, but we needed to find a way that we could speak to it from our own mana, from our own power, and from our own knowledge systems as well. And I think the key point here is you can see that mental models, again, from the systems change, the deepest level of system change, that's where we're advancing. And that's where we're doubling down on. So we're going to move into our learnings now. We are going to spend a few minutes here and then be opening up to questions. We're hoping to have at least 20 minutes of questions with you all. So please, if you don't have one, think about one while we share our learnings, and then we'll be opening up to the floor to hear and listen and receive some of your feedback, as well as some Q&A. I'm just going to stop sharing so you can see us. Amazing. So we perhaps we want to start with Fibre Fale learnings. There was a lot for us to be able to work through around when we came into evaluation. Fibre Fale was doing a lot, even more than what it's doing now. And one of the big issues, or one of the challenges for myself, was what are the right things to measure ourselves against? We are doing so much. And how in the world would I find a way to speak to and measure against all of the different things that we are doing? And it became a journey of learning that you don't need to measure everything, you need to measure the right things. And the right things are based on what your model is seeking to achieve, what your overall impact is seeking to achieve. So there was definitely a lot of learnings for me, just in terms of how evaluation works and how to build your own impact model, because I just want to double down. We had never built our own impact model before. And as you've heard, we had to not only be evaluated, we had to build the model to be evaluated against. And we have done that all within 12 months, and we are only an 18-month-old organization. So just that, as well as delivering all of our work, I'm surprised I'm still standing, and it is still standing. So it has been absolutely enormous in terms of the stretch that we have gone on. Sis, how about you?
My biggest learning was a big thing was I'm not very I've learned so much about evaluation, but as Sister mentioned earlier, we were looking for the right fit. I would say we were the glass slipper, but no one was fitting with the glass slipper. And I think, for those that haven't seen Cinderella, the glass slipper looks like a diamond. And I think that itself really showed that only diamonds understand diamonds. We couldn't find the right fit, not just because it's not about you couldn't meet up with us. It was more like it wasn't the right fit for us. And I think what I noticed was I thought just in our work we were just diamonds, but even those that had to understand our work needed to also understand the pressure of what we're going through, but also how do we show that pressure in a beautiful way, which is the diamond. And with that being said, I've just always been, as a doer, I've never really understood evaluation in a bigger way, because as doers, we just get it done. All right, tick that, I've done this X amount of numbers and that's it. But there was nothing that showed the full picture of what it takes to get the number. And I think I really appreciated one, being seen, two, being heard, but also able to bring that into this beautiful model too. So, whaftai, bless.
I do just want to piggyback on what Ete said. We were actually respected, and it felt like we were operating as equals. Some of the evaluation experiences we had, it was like, well, you're the fundee and I'm the evaluator, so therefore you need to be afraid of what we're going to do or say or how we're going to see you. And that was terrifying as young Pacific women who are already trying to prove ourselves just by showing up in the world, to then be engaging in evaluation and sort of being seen as something to be tested if what you're doing is real enough or good enough, was not the experience that we wanted to be going through or engaging in. And it wasn't the experience that we had with CSI at all. And it was actually quite the opposite, where I think there was a moment where me and Rachael, we butted heads and it got a bit tense between us, because I was very strong on not wanting to just not give in, but I believed we could go to a next level. And I hadn't seen it done before. And I'll be really honest, I said that over and over. I hadn't seen this done before, but I believed it could be possible. And Rachael, and where she could have just gone, oh, you guys are too hard, I'm tapping out. she really lent in, and Emeline really lent in as well, and kind of was like, okay, I'm buying into this vision that we can do this. And as you've seen, they've both gone above and beyond. Like Emeline has gone way above and beyond from any normal evaluator to go and start pulling out books and quotes and testing the theory in actual physical form. So it moves away from theoretical into practical or into tangible. So yeah, we've been incredibly honored and blessed to have Rachael and Emeline be the incredible humans that they have to us on this journey. Over to you two, team.
Thank you, Jules. I'm going to say that the importance of tending to the va from a cultural perspective. Va, that relationship with your clients is sacred. And if you go in willing to learn, even if you don't know, but being willing to listen and learn and to see what their vision is, and your role is to guide them through it, is very helpful. The quality of the work, Rachael would support this, shows the quality of our va that we build. And va doesn't mean it's all going to be butterfly and sweetness. There are some aspects where it's also difficult. And it is that difficult time that you lean in stronger to try and negotiate and talk. And for us, it's our concept. We had a regular time of doing deep learning and reflecting. So what is it that went really well, and what can we work on to do it better? So that's from me. And it's a privilege to work with Fibre Fale.
Yeah, I would just say a few things. One, evaluation always needs to be in service of the kaupapa, and that the power of finding the right metaphor for how you want to understand impact. This is a great example of that. For Fibre Fale, it's the fale and the hibiscus. For other organizations, it's planting, seeding, navigating, find the way and the story and the frame that works for you and go deep with it like they have. And it takes a lot of work to understand your impact and commitment, and it's a discipline. So putting the time in is vital, and that's what happened here. And I think meeting in person was a real breakthrough, and working directly on the hibiscus model together, where Emeline had gone to Mangere Market and taken pictures of hibiscus mats. And she brought the fale into the room with us to touch and feel, and that was really important as well. And I'd just say to, Pacific organizations here, it's really important to do this work your way and to seek funding if you want support to get to the depth of how you want to do this work, then put that in your applications and tussle with it and do it your way, and push back like Fibre Fale have, with frameworks that don't work for you. We're all trying to navigate this biggest funding system and whatnot, but actually, if you do it your own way, that's far more powerful.
Beautiful, Rach. And I will just say that our funders have been really gracious and been really excited by the possibility that we were willing to move towards, which has been great. It's been amazing to have their support, and amazing for them to believe in taking the path less traveled and taking the more difficult path of building from the ground up. And it was a risk for us to do it so early on in our journey, because just to be clear, we were giving at least 2 hours every 2 weeks for over a year. And that's, for a team of only 3 people, that's an enormous amount of time for us to be pulled away from doing the work, which other people might have valued higher, and when they're just starting up and being so early. And so, yes, again, just want to, we are very, very grateful for how everyone's wrapped around us and given us this opportunity to do something different. And I think one thing I will quickly say is we are tall poppies in Aotearoa, and we've experienced being pulled down because we are doing things differently, and we've experienced people questioning us because we are bold and brave. And if anything, this has just proven the point that by being ambitious and by believing that you can do something unapologetically your way, in service of the greater mission and still honoring the knowledge systems that exist, you can get there. And it is, I don't know, the right way. For us, at least, it was. So I'll just move into open Q&A. I think we've got around 15, maybe 20 minutes if we go slightly 5 minutes over. So yeah, who would like to put their hand up? Okay, yes, Cara, awesome. We love it. Straight in there. Beautiful.
Oh, I've been waiting. Thank you. Kia ora koutou. Ko Karaskeli Vain Tuku Ingoa. I'm sorry my full name isn't coming up. I think I came in without logging into Zoom properly first. So I'm an evaluation practitioner. I know Rachael. I'm the current convener of the Aotearoa New Zealand Evaluation Association. And I just as a side note, it's really disheartening to hear that you're still having those experiences around the evaluation not being an empowering one, because, you know, that's really the best way that it can be in service. So that's a bit disappointing, but we're, you know, continue to work on that. But I was interested, I was quite keen to hear your reflections about the use of the conditions of systems change. And the conversations that you've had with donors. So I've got a background in systems as well as a variety of other things, and I used that particular framework for an evaluation about 3 years ago. And one of the things that anyone who sort of understands how it works is the really important stuff that's going to last the distance is the really invisible stuff. And what people are looking for is all of the things that you can see at the top. So that iceberg, right? And so I'm really interested to know if you can share, and maybe it's too early in your journey, what have those what have the difficult conversations been like with some people, like, but we can't see anything. Yeah, that's what I love.
No, it's a beautiful question, Cara. I think when we started Fibre Fale, I was very clear to the team that we will not get second chances. If we receive funding, oh, there you are. Sorry, you moved in the screen. I was like visibly looking at your face. If and when we receive funding, we will not get second chances. And in our first year, we went and did an enormous amount of work. Like we probably engaged with over 6,000 people in our first year, and that's with a team of 3 people. So we had done a lot of that work of demonstrating that we are not just talkers, we are executors and we are doers. So there was already trust and credibility built that we do visible work and we do it really, really well. It's pretty hard to ignore Eti and I when we're in a space, just from our sheer presence. And so I would say that we had already a layer of credibility that we are capable of that work and we do it, and we do it really well. When we made the refinements to go into focusing on and to doubling down in the invisible space, in the mental model space, I would say that our funders could see that there was already the established trust that we were not just going straight to invisible and didn't do any of the visible work. We had done so much of the visible work that they were concerned about our well-being. And so as we started to refine and move into the invisible space and move into, okay, well, where are our strengths? Where's our center of excellence within the larger context of what's everybody else doing as well? I felt as though that trust allowed them to be really supportive and to be on board as we were making these refinements. The other thing I would say, Cara, is that we've been bringing them along the journey the entire time. So as they were part of some of the one-to-one evaluation talanoas that occurred that were led by CSI. And so they were being brought on to the learnings, and we were applying the insights and the learnings the whole way. And so I think we're very fortunate that within that trusted group, that they are really invested in us and can see that we can do both, and that this is a course of action and in maturity as well, a maturing of our work. But what I would say is I'm not sure if it would work if we were going into brand new funder relationships where they want to have their board reports they need to write. They need their PR to be looking good. And if we're saying we're doing all of this invisible work, and then it's a contestable fund where they're putting us against an organization that's doing big events, big numbers, I'm not sure if we would be seen on the same equal playing field. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I just added a couple of comments in there that one of the frustrations of, so much of this work relies on funding, but that those trusted relationships requires time for those relationships to be built. And often the funding only wants to fund the quick wins and the stuff, that visible stuff. And so there's an inherent tension and conflict in many of the funding models out there. Not everything, it's good that some of them are changing, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Beautiful. That question took like 6 minutes because there was some beautiful long conversation. But would anyone else like to ask us a question? Yes, Claire, I love the physical hand up.
I couldn't find the button, but thank you. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience. It's been amazing and just, wow, the possibilities. One question that popped into my mind was around when you're doing the deep work and the trauma-informed work, how do you do that safely for the people who are participating?
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful question. So when we've engaged in our Tautai leadership camps, which are the most in-depth and kind of most deep engagement that we have kind of a scale between, I don't want to call it like light engagement to deep engagement. Our Tautai leadership camp is the deepest. And there are a couple of our beautiful, beautiful leaders that are in here. Leon, I've seen Julie, I see Lisa Marie, that have gone on this journey with us. And we always say, as we go into those spaces, only share what you feel safe and comfortable enough to share in this space. We are not seeking to pull people apart to a place where that we can't close them back up, because 4 days is a very small amount of time. We also have had youth workers be present in all of those engagements. So we're coming at it from a level of expertise around opening up safe spaces, or opening up and having those really, really more sensitive conversations. We also have what we call a New World strategy, or that's our language. The language is an alumni strategy. So we try and ensure that the engagement into the space, and then there's an ongoing relationship in village and peer-to-peer mentoring, peer-to-peer support, and support from us in one-to-one beyond the camp as well. Now, that is something from a funder point of view. They haven't funded us to do, they funded us to do the delivery. There's not necessarily the same funding to build and contain that relationship moving forward. But that's something that our funders are starting to learn and see as equally valuable as the single touch point, because that compounding touch point has compounding impact. It's not a single piece of impact of just the camp. It keeps going and keeps growing and keeps evolving. And having our leaders here today is like a testament of that and the ongoing work that we're doing with them. So we're really mindful that we're not trauma-informed practitioners, and we're not trying to be what we're not. Though when you ask people, what are your experiences in tech? Racism, sexism, like it's the day-to-day living experiences. We don't go into the space of sexual assault. We don't move into some of the really, really deep areas because we're not able to hold that, and we don't have the skills to do that. Though when we're asking questions around what's your experiences, these are the day-to-day life experiences of our community in this particular industry. Does that answer your question, Claire? Oh yeah, sorry, go sis.
I'll add on to that too, Claire. Another part of creating that safety is actually our culture and also the practices that we use at the camps. So like, for example, we talk about the va and the space that we have, but a lot of the stuff that we do in the camp is about tausi the va, which means just because you have the va, tausi the va means to look after it, to nurture it, to expose ourselves to natural elements, the air, the water, everything that makes us as Pasifika who we are. We use that as practices to help engage, because as Julia said, we go through these things in our 9-to-5s, but the one thing that always anchors us and brings us back to the center of who we are is our identity. And we know there are many beautiful islands that make up the Pacific, but we share the knowledge, and we touch base on each island to bring us to that point of self-determination, but also to understand that while we're healing through our trauma, we can still find healing through our environments and also through our cultural practices. So that's something that we also don't get funded for, but it's also the spices that we should be funded for, but we do that because it helps support our beautiful leaders, not just for today, but for tomorrow. Whaftai.
I'm going to just see, would any of our leaders like to share their experiences of the camp just while they're here on the call, and their experiences of Fibre Fale, just for fun, just to test it all out? Julie, Leon, Lisa Marie?
I'd love to.
Woohoo! This was not planned, by the way. There's no extra bonus for this. This is all on the fly.
I'd love to just to talk what was just spoken about. And I have to, without tearing up and without going on too long, the Tautek Leadership Camp was the singular most life-changing event of my life. And the way the space was offered was so powerful, so unique. That there cannot be anything like that exists. You need to find more funding and keep moving forward and doing it again, because it's so life-changing. My life is just, that was an absolute tipping point, not only for me, but for my daughters. and forever. Like, this is it. I remember walking out, and it was a Thursday night, with the cohort together, and I said, the version of me that showed up the other day no longer exists. And I've kept true to that. And I know I've got some work to do, and after seeing beautiful faces and hearing this and take a deeper look at this, I need to do some work on reconnecting with you ladies, to support me further, because there's work to be done there. But it's completely surreal, completely life-changing, completely unique, completely safe, and all the love.
We love you, Julie. We're so grateful for you. Thank you.
Grateful for you. This is phenomenal what you're doing.
That was really unplanned. I just want to let everyone that was definitely unplanned. Any more questions, or if Leon and Lisa Marie also want to share anything, please, you're part of our village and we always want to hear your voices too. Yes, Janet.
Talofa lava, everyone. I couldn't go without just saying how amazing this is. I think for me as Pasifika, sitting and listening to, I had no idea what is Fibre Fale evaluation when it comes to funding. I'm a CEO of a small community organisation out in West Auckland, and every time I do funding applications, evaluation is there, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to pull in my community developer, I'm going to pull in this person and that person. So I think for me, what I'm going to take away from this is the fact that there is this amazing organizational company that is set up to do this for Pasifika, because there are the strengths, and there's certain strengths that I don't, and this is one of them. And so for me, I'm excited. I love that you have discovered your framework. I love the methodologies. I love that you're being unapologetic. And I hear you, I see you, and I totally understand what you're actually going to be offering to the world, honestly. So I just wanted to say that. I was typing away and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to say it. But I do want to tautoko everything that you guys have said. And so, I was like messaging one of my colleagues, you need to get on here. It was all part of what we were doing. We just finished an application and we had a slot in our application of, we need an evaluation, we need this done properly, Survey Monkey's not going to be the one that, and I have no idea how to actually work that. And so, just having some knowledge and understanding from the experts, and I had no idea that this, you were here. So now that I do, I'm definitely going to be touching base with you. We are the little people, you guys are the
Yeah.
bigger
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, we have said to Foundation North, if you want to fund us to help
That's
our
right.
organizations, because, you know, our time ain't
Totally.
free. But
Yeah.
if they want to get behind us so that we can do, again, peer-to-peer, like sharing and learning, because you'll have things that you're doing that we could learn from. I think that's
That's
the
right.
next level that I'd love to see funders move into is how
Yeah.
do they fund our community organizations to have peer-to-peer capability building?
Yeah.
And that I think will be truly transformative for the system as well, because this is still a huge investment. Like, and I think it's okay to share the cost of this was between plus all of the video work, all of the design work, like our report, that whole report, 61 pages of getting that design. You know, we're looking at it around 70,000 for this entire year-long engagement. It's not. It's
not a quick thing
it's an amazing investment, but
That's
we
right.
know that was a one-off, and we're not being
Yeah.
funded in the same capacity
Yeah.
looking ahead. And so how
Yeah.
can we be supporting each other to be able to
Yeah.
make that small amount of funding, which we know is the case right now, go further through
That's
this?
right. Yeah. So no, thank you so much. I've learned so much from this
Aw,
1 hour.
thank
And
you
I
so
look
much.
forward to connecting. They love
Yes.
it.
Yes, beautiful. And Rachel's just put the actual, there was evaluation was a certain amount, and then design comms and video was on top of that. Any other questions, or if anyone wants to share other beautiful, loving messages, because it's been a hard week, so we're all for the refilling and for the beautiful messages as well. Leon.
Lovely.
Kia ora. I'm not really sure what to say off the top of my head. I haven't planned this or anything, but yeah, definitely for me, being a part of the camp was such, again, like a big life-changing experience, but also kind of realizing a lot of the problems that were going on for me personally around me, and kind of, you know, just seeing that growing up in these systems, you become, or I became, quite blind to the cracks in the system, or it groomed me to kind of not see what is going on around me now. And then suddenly I went on this camp, and also bringing, you know, bringing the tangata together, and we're all in a room together, and being able to share our experiences together made me see that it's bigger than me. You know, it's not just in my world, but it's like going on everywhere. And that's, you know, that really kind of fired up something in me that, you know, I'm like, this is a problem. Like, okay, there's my problem, but to see also my people, you know, experiencing these problems, you know, really upset me for sure. And then I think there's definitely like what's going on now, especially in the physical world, but you know, I felt like that camp went so much beyond just the physical and the here and the now. And there was such a special, beautiful moment that we had at the beach. And I just feel like explaining it doesn't do it justice, but it was just this connection and this otherworldly, you know, it was the ancestors, it was our tupuna, it was something else that was going on that, you know, really spoke to me. And you know, I feel like it spoke to a lot of people, and that's yeah, I felt like that's what Fibre Fale has brought and brings. And it's, you know, it's reclaiming, it's really like, you know, not letting go of our culture. And yeah, it's definitely a big change that's needed now, I think, for sure.
Leon. So yeah, so much love, so much love. I didn't even know that our leaders were attending today. So that this is Big feelings, big feelings. Thank you so much, Leon, and thank you, Julie, and thank you, Lisa Marie, for being here with us today. And we also have our amazing team member and extraordinaire of everything, Saffron, on this call as well. She is our head of digital and media, who has been getting this report to where it is today. It's that we are, as I don't know if anyone saw a reel, I said, I'm ready to hand out this report like this. They're like, you want to know what Fibre Fale does? Here it is. And that was all pulled together by our amazing Saffron and one of our leaders who runs their own design agency, Hard Luck Design, Christian, as well. So we've been able to have our village be part of the whole journey of this and get it to where it is today. So we are sitting at 1:05. I'm not sure if anyone has any other questions. Otherwise, I will pass it over to our amazing sister Ete to close us off today.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fantastic.
Oh, and Mo, I'm so sorry. We have Mo here as well. Sorry,
Hi,
Mo. I've just
Mo.
seen. Hi, Mo. Beautiful.
Delicious.
Sorry, sis.
3, 2, 1. Okay, bless you. If you had any questions, send them through to our emails or find us on Instagram or even to our amazing famous Center of Impact Yarns. But our sister will send Michelle will send a beautiful survey about your time here. So I'll let sister post it in there. Lovely. Wow, you can practice Survey Monkey here, sister, see if you like it. But put all your amazing thoughts in there. Other than that, thank you very much for joining us today. We hope to see you in person, real life. We love the digital vibe, but we just, we'd love to break through it and one day share a meal, break bread with you. But other than that, I'll finish us off with a kakalo and then we'll let you be off on your beautiful day. Tato ifu matatalo, let us pray. Le tua silisili ese o mato toi a whiatulo a fio a wau I umale manuele mato whaatasinga nei whaftai mo le mawhatanga mawhana whaapea le alofa ma manatu sa whaasoaina o mato moanga manotu matatalo lilo uma e tu atu iau luma ia whaia pelo fina ngalo ai a wau mato loto se teime le mato tai pāti a pui pui ma maluti le mato a ngangapa ia whaamanuia mai te mato uma tai tō tasi si a mato toi wheluai I le swafapa I Yesu. Amen. Amen, everyone. Fantastic. Win the week, win the day. We hope to see you again. Tō whāsoi fua. See you later, fam. Bye. Thank you for coming. Don't forget the survey.